Hello, hello, hello. Welcome, my dear astrology friends. Welcome to this astrological video that is all about the Mercury retrograde in Virgo. It's happening around and about, depending on where you're living, around and about the 23rd, 24th of August. So very soon we're going to have this Mercury standing still at 21 degrees of Virgo and then going backwards. And it goes backwards up until you'll know very soon. Up until patience, bear with me. This, how can I forget? This was no accident at all. It might look like it, but it's on my birthday, right? The Mercury direct. I'm really feeling this Mercury energy. It's very witty. It's very kind of energy. Anyways, it's going direct on the 16th of September, which is my birthday. Yeah. And full of insights on the birthday. I don't know what's going to happen, but anyway, I'm going to have some epiphanies for sure. Don't think that I know it all because I'm an astrologer. I mean, I go through my own phases as well. Anyway, it will be at 8 degrees of Virgo then. So when it goes backwards, like 21 degrees, 20 degrees, these are the details, by the way, of the astrology. And when it goes backwards, it stops at 8 degrees of Virgo, and then it goes forwards again after the 16th. And it's out of its shadow when it reaches again that 21 degrees of Virgo, which will be around the end of the month of September, the beginning of October. What a crucial timing that will be. Why? Because this Mercury retrograde, wow, it's a very loud one. Especially around the 23rd of August. I'll explain in a minute why. But the purpose, in my humble opinion, the purpose is to reveal truths and to transform that information that you have. Why is that? Because whilst this all is going on, of course, we have that Venus square Uranus still. And also the revelation or the big shift and the big end of this transit of the Venus retrograde is also around the end of September, beginning of October. So we're going to have a lot of revelations. We're going to have a lot of, what Venus square Uranus is all about. It's the value that the things that we value, we are reevaluating them, and then we are going to implement them to set us free. And it's in combination with that Mercury also that will be direct out of its shadow and will show a lot of clarity. First by the confusion, because Mercury is going to bump into Neptune as well at the very end of September, beginning of October. But then it kind of restores itself and transforms that information when it's going to make a trine to Pluto. So, what a Mercury retrograde it is. Yes, Mercury is in its own sign. So you could say, oh, that's easier. Well, it depends on how you look at it. It is a very strong energy, this Mercury in Virgo. Why? Because when we have that very important moment when Mercury will go that retrograde, it is so close to Mars. And that is a loud planet, Mars. That's Mars is the planet of drive and action. And when it's together with Mercury, it's extremely loud, even in Virgo, even in the humble, shy Virgo. Look at me, right? I have this natally. I have this aspect, Mars conjunct Mercury natally in my chart. And how many times have I had the comments, I'm using a microphone and I have to consciously kind of dim my voice because I speak quite loud. I really do. But it's just the Mercury, which is next to Mars, which is, loud. So, it is something to consider. And this energy, and believe me, it's a blessing and a curse. And, it's not often that I'm talking about these aspects that I have in my own chart, right? I mean, every astrologer gets like a little bit when they're talking about their own natal aspects, they're like, ooh, I know a lot about that. I certainly feel like that. And probably other astrologers will do that as well. I don't know. But, Mars conjunct Mercury, let's make it a blessing. Let's make it a blessing and not a curse, because it's so easy to do the curse. So let's get started with explaining when around the 23rd, 24th of August, where we need to look at to get this aspect at its best. Because at its best, this is just the detail. The devil is in the detail. The detail is in the devil. The devil is in the detail. It is laser beam eyes, you could say, by seeing those details, because Mars is there, you want to act upon it. You want to speak very loudly and speak it out. And but the thing is, what is your intention? That's the whole story. What is your intention? And in a minute, I'm going to have a look at all the signs, in what kind of area of life this is occurring, but I'm not going to spend too much time on that because it's all about this energy and explaining it. It's way more important. I'm just going to, in a few seconds explain, all the houses and what kind of area this is of your life. I mean, this truth that can be spoken here. But it's the intention. When we look at a Mercury retrograde and Mars is involved, we have to look at the intention behind it, because when the intention behind it is going to be dark, or is going to be manipulative, or in a negative way, it's going to be ugly. But when the intention is going to be very positive, out of love and not out of fear, you're acting out of love and not out of fear. You're acting with purpose. You're acting with a goal to build something in the future that is constructive, that is positive, that is out of love. Then you cannot go wrong with this energy. And believe me, I've come a long way to deal with this energy in a positive way. It was a journey. I can assure you. And I see many other people with Mars conjunct Mercury in any sign. It's a journey. It's a journey. They have to bite their tongue every now and then. And it will be that as well. The Mars Mercury conjunction around the time that it goes backwards shows that we are going to be tempted by Mars. We are going to be tempted to speak things out loud. And then Mercury going backwards, it's like, it suggests at least a reassessing of what we said or other people said. So regret could be really, really occurring here when we are not applying this energy in the most positive way, when we are using it to not in our best interest and not in the best interest of others. Or the downside of Virgo is perfectionism and is of thinking, the wiseacre. And I mean, we all have Virgo somewhere in our chart. We all have that trait every now and then when planets go through it. So the positive side of a Mars Mercury is deep study, it's going through the detail, it's true conversations, it's getting to the root of the matter in a nitty-gritty way, and so that it is cleared and purified and real. And so let's use it for that, and let's not use it to attack others. It's so simple to do that. It's the easy way. People are going to be finding it very easy to attack others. That's the negative energy of the Mercury in Virgo, because it's so easy. You will see any detail and you can attack it. But when you're doing that, when you're pointing a finger to someone, remember that those 3 other fingers are pointing towards you again. So be mindful of that, because this is going to backfire. Why? Because Mercury goes retrograde. So I'm not saying that you have to suppress what you think. I'm just saying that the way you're doing it and the intention behind it, watch it before. And that's why I'm doing these videos a bit earlier, so that you can contemplate about it and prepare yourself for it in the best way. Yes, people are going to say things to each other that they're going to regret. Yes, people are going to be very, picky and very judgmental. These are all the negative sides of Virgo, being judgmental. It's so easy, when you go to a restaurant and when you meet a new person, it's so easy to see their flaws. And this Mercury in in Virgo is with Mars, it's so sharp. It's so easy to just judge. But know that the trauma of Virgo, because every sign has trauma kind of energy, the trauma of Virgo is thinking they're not good enough. And because of that, it kind of put them in a superior position. And so that they judge others. Because when you're judging others, you're actually saying that you're better, right? And don't get me wrong here. I don't want to exclude that you never be, discerning things. And no, far from that. And sometimes we have to judge, right? When you do a work or you have to do that work. But I mean, you know what I mean, right? I mean, when it's because you're not feeling 100% or you feel like you have to judge so that you can feel better, or unconsciously, of course. So it's a lot about that energy. The dark side. Why do I say the dark side? Because at the end of the ride of the Mercury retrograde, Mercury is going to trine Pluto. So that means the transformation of this dark side, which is how the more we judge, and again, it's very easy to do, and it puts us temporary in a bit of a higher state, right? It looks like in a more powerful state, but it's further from the truth, and especially with this energy, it's like it's going to backfire, So watch out if you're saying, for instance, like, I don't know, I'm going to say a stupid example here. This person, they're very lazy because blah, 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 blah. Maybe you are lazy in a way, or maybe your shadow side is that you don't allow yourself to have some relaxing time every now and then. You see what I mean? So it's like in the expression here in Belgium, I don't know if that expression is applicable in other countries, but they say here in Belgium, all you say to another, you say to yourself. And that goes around this attacking other people, with this like kind of, Mars is cutting energy, right? So you cut with your words. So when you're doing that, like when you're judging others, you're actually judging yourself in a way. You're not only hurting others by that, in that way, like, but you're hurting yourself as well. What is more interesting is that we are going to think about it. That we are going to think about all this and why this triggers us. This Mars is a very visceral planet and it's in a very earthly sign. So you're going to feel triggered. And to ask yourself and to move, right? The best thing is to move. The best thing is actually, when you feel triggered, to go around the block and have some, jogging to do or whatever, to move, to dance, whatever it is, to get it out of your system. But at the same time, to ask yourself, why this is triggering me? Why is this person triggering me? Why am I so judgmental towards this person? What does it say to me? And then you will have the blessing of the Mercury conjoining with Mars, because this is inviting to get to know yourself better. Again, I'm pointing towards that Mercury trine Pluto, which is knowledge about the self, which is such a powerful tool. So it's about thinking why you are judging others and looking at your shadow, period. It's about that. And it's about those truths. And that demands courage, and it demands also putting your ego, which is Mars, you could say Mars is the ego, putting your ego a little bit aside and watching that ego from a bit of a broader perspective. The good thing is that this Mercury is going to trine Jupiter again as well. So it's very close to that trine of Jupiter. It gets help, right? It's not just Mercury with Mars. I'm just explaining here one aspect. It's quite of a complicated energy to explain because there's so many aspects that Mercury is making. But to start with the Mars is the most important because that's the kickoff, you could say. And then we have a lot of help as well. So don't worry, this is not a bad thing. This is a neutral thing. And we decide what we're doing with it. So when we come from a place of, I want to reveal truth, but first and foremost, I'm going not to try to criticize others too much or to try to change others. That's the downside of Virgo. Virgo wants to fix problems, and that's okay. I mean, that's not a bad thing, but it wants to fix people as well. So you have to be very careful if you want to fix others, because, hey, that's the downside of the helping hand, right? A helping hand is also sometimes control. And as I said, the downside of Virgo, you feel that you're not good enough. So you can go two ways when you are feeling that you are not good enough. The trauma of the Virgo that I was telling, why so many Virgos are perfectionists, that's their trauma. The trauma is they feel not good enough. And either they go the downside, which is a minority complex, or either they go the upside, which is I'm knowing it all, right? The wiseacre, right? They are so annoying, aren't they? And but again, when you recognize one of these two states, there is here an opportunity to heal that. There is here an opportunity to use this information and to use this energy at its best, which is to heal, which is to get the highest version of this Virgo energy, which is humble. Virgo is one of the most humble of the signs. It's the axis of Virgo and Pisces. They are the healers, they are the helpers, they are the ones that understand. So if you're looking at someone else, try to find that in the opposite sign of where Neptune is now. So this Mercury is almost opposing Neptune when it's going backwards. So it means that if we have empathy for that, what we judge in others, we can heal it in ourselves as well. And we can look at it in ourselves as well, even if it's a tiny thing or not a tiny thing, whatever. It's going to be different for everyone. It's a huge invitation to shadow work. It's a huge invitation to working on self. It's a huge invitation to reveal the truth and nothing but the truth, because truths are going to be revealed here. Truths that are, first maybe by deception, but definitely truths that are hidden. And why is that? Because of this energy that Mercury is going through with Mars. Then it's going to make trine with Jupiter, which is like seeing the bigger picture and seeing the detail. I mean, then you see it all, right? Either people are in a category, how do you say that? Either they go to the root of the matter, the detail, but they get lost sometimes into the abyss, or they become the abyss, even worse. Or you've got people who see the bigger picture, but they don't see really the detail. So now we have an opportunity to see both. So now we have an opportunity to see big and to see deep, which is amazing, which is knowledge at the most vast way possible. So that's why as well. And Mercury is in its own sign. So it is there to, in the sign of Virgo. So it can go to, the planet of Mercury goes into the underworld and then gets the information there and puts it into this world. That's what's happening. And it's scary. It can be scary. And it's certainly not the easiest thing. But the goal is knowledge. The gold is also self-knowledge. And if you have that, you're more powerful than ever. And so then it's going to trine also other aspects. We call it the Grand Earth Trine, which will be happening with this Mercury, because Mercury is in Virgo. And then it's going to trine as well Uranus, which is like insights, truths all of a sudden coming out, epiphanies, information coming your way. That is a bit shocking. Uranus in Taurus. And trining Pluto, as I said, trining Pluto in Capricorn, the truths that were hidden are not going to be hidden anymore. And a lot of people don't like that. Virgos like that. Virgos want to know the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. People with Virgo placements. And they know that the truth is sometimes hard to deal with. So it depends as well. Do you want to put your face in the sand and not looking at it, at the truths that are going to be all around you? And or do you want to suppress that? It's a choice. And but here's an opportunity. If you want to see some truths, get ready for it. And it can be for better or for worse, but at least you will know. And that will show, certainly together with the Venus square Uranus, that, hey, I know where to go when it comes to my desires, when it comes to my future, when it comes to the values that I have. Hopefully some upgrades of values, right? Certainly for people who are now not valuing themselves enough, right? This is really a beautiful opportunity, by the way, with this Venus square Uranus. Been telling that many times and I'm repeating it again. But what an opportunity we have to go through these epiphanies, go through these transformational information and making it ours and embodying it and seeing the truth of the matter and healing from it. What a Mercury retrograde this is. And so yes, it's making tons of aspects. I'm not going into even the detail of when this is going to be, because you will feel it at the same time, because we are all going through those epiphanies and through those things that we want to rethink. And so in the beginning, on the 23rd of August, 24th of August, if you feel like everything is tearing apart, everything is going down because some truths came out, know that you will have reassessment time, and know that you will have to come back to that truth. Either you said it or another person said it, or it was just information that came to you, or you have sent it out and things are coming out now. Know that there is a time to process this, absolutely, because of the retrograde. And on the 16th of September and onwards, we have an opportunity to implement that new information in a new way and to do it in a better way. So when there is a bit of a crisis going on there, which often happens when Mercury goes backwards, right? But it's that contemplation time. Acknowledge it, don't run away from it. The more you resist it, the more difficult it is. As I said, when you're doing your best to not to judge too much, you're doing already the 50% of the work. And of course, I'm not saying now like when your spouse is cheating all of the time, for instance, or abusing you in any other way, physical or whatever, that you don't have to do anything. That's not what I'm saying, right? Then it is about taking action here for sure. But I'm telling about, those things that trigger us and that we know what it triggers us because it's not healed within us yet. So that's the part that I'm talking about here. So let's get through these 12 signs very quickly. I'm not going to put timestamps even because the first part is way more important, but it is just to know, look, this is in the house or the area of life where this is going to show up, right? This Mercury. For Aries, it is in your 6th house. So for you, this is a lot about your work and your day-to-day life, your day-to-day routines. You have an invitation here to put it upside down and to get your work more into an efficient way, right? So you could have a new job or prepare yourself for a new job. Be aware of colleagues, right? The struggles with people will be more towards colleagues and so on. So be aware of what I said in the beginning with the pointing. And but this retrograde here can make your life so much easier when it goes direct and you apply efficiency in the workplace in a better way, and it's going to save you a lot of trouble and a lot of time as well. Also, your health, you could be dealing with, if you're having some health problems, you could be dealing by thinking of what is it that I'm not seeing, and really examining, going into the nitty gritty, what is going on here, and going to lots of different, you could say the Virgo is, you go to clinics, you go to doctors, you go to acupuncturists, you go to all these things to understand what's going on. So it really is something very interesting for Aries people to recognize how better, to improve your health and to improve your work. That's the key. Taurians, this is for you it's a fellow earth sign. So for you, this is very, very positive if you apply it right, okay? And it's in the love house. It's in your 5th house, the house of children, if you have children or want to have children. So you could be thinking about that and redoing some stuff. And but it's also about the heart chakra. So love and the projects that you do, the things that you do to enjoy yourself. So there's a going backwards and forwards. In a very general way, it's your attitude towards love that needs to be shifted here. So if you point your finger towards someone in a love relationship, what does it has to do with you? How can you improve? And try to fix others. How can you improve? What is your peace and accountability in the connection, if that is the case? Right? It can be very fiery. It can be very, like a new relationship starting now. It can be very, very sexual, for instance, with Mars there in your 5th house and Mercury, very sexual and very, but also, the mind plays a very big role here. So there could be a backwards and forwards around what's going on here. Or your mind is a lot about sexuality and how you can improve it, how you can, maybe because of a certain thing that is going on that needs to be revisited. If you are in a relationship, for instance, and in new relationships as well, how am I expressing myself in love, and how can I be truthful and non-judgmental, but still discerning, all that kind of juicy stuff. And but at the same time, it can be as simple as a new hobby that you want to go to again, and that you want to get into action. And that new hobby could be something that you were doing when you were younger, and that you want to do again because it brings you joy. So these topics are quite interesting, and but also quite practical and down to earth and real to deal with. Gemini, this is happening in your 4th house. So the epiphanies that are coming are from your emotions. So the emotional security, how you know yourself, how you go deep, how you nurture yourself, and family members. So watch out for struggles with very close family members, parents, and people in your circle who are very close to you when it comes to your family, right? This is not about neighbors or whatever, but it's very, very close relatives. There could be some things that need to come up. There could be, so watch your tongue, right? Because you are ruled by Mercury, you're a Gemini. So watch your tongue, that if you judge, right, you're judging yourself. Remember to watch the whole beginning, and it's applicable for you because you are Mercury. I'm going a bit faster here through the signs because Cancerians, this is the 3rd house. So the 3rd house is your communication house. So there could be communication that you are doing, and that like, whoa, everyone is like, what's going on here? And but that you felt like you had to do, and now you are reassessing, how can I implement my life in a new way? Or information comes up by another person, so it can go both ways, but the thing is that how you communicate is very important. So if there is something that you really, really need to communicate to someone who's dear to you, to someone that is important to you, do it. Do it during this time. But don't do it by judging you or blah, 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 blah. No, do it by, what do you want to change about yourself? What is the intention behind it? And show where you want to go. And then that person, they can take it or leave it. It could be a person that is very close to you, a spouse, a girlfriend, boyfriend, a friend, family member. It doesn't matter. It's about that communication and the style of communication. So there's something shifting here in your style of communication by pointing the finger and, that whole story I was talking about in the beginning. is applicable on, looking at you and how you can only control how you communicate. You can't control how another person is communicating. I mean, you can judge that, of course, it's not going to help you. So, very interesting when it comes to your communication style. And actually, communication in relationship is key, because putting your head in the sand is not going to help you a lot. Leo, this is in your second house. This is about money. This is about self. For some, it's about money. So something needs to change here. Your attitude around money, your attitude around your financial situation, something needs to be changed. It could be, and analyze it. Go to an accountant that helps you out. Consult someone if you're not good at it. This can really help your financial situation when Mercury goes direct again, which will be after the 16th. On another level, this is your self-esteem. Examine your self-esteem. Examine what you're doing to sabotaging yourself. Examine what you're doing by judging others or judging too much yourself in your case, right? So be aware of that. Don't overdo this, right? Because it has to do with sabotage. Virgos, well, dear Virgos, this is all about you, right? All the things I said in the beginning are applicable for you. This is definitely about your connections, your relationships. This is definitely about looking at yourself, what you can do. And before you say to others, you have to do this and that. And probably you're right, but it's not your karma, right? I say that often to Virgos and to myself. Don't pick up that's the downside of the Virgo, right? They pick up other people's karma and you don't have to. It's actually not even your right, unless they are under they're your kids and they're under 12, 13 years old. Then you can take over. But otherwise than that, give space to other people by doing their own thing, because you will be busy with yourself, and you're supposed to be. But again, not in the self-sabotaging way that you are putting yourself too much down, and that's the other way of, the minority complex. I don't want you to go there either. Just go into what is my thing that I can do, that I can change about myself, my perspective, and the actions that I can take. And it's going to be so empowering for you. What an empowering energy. Very, very interesting. Librans, this is happening in your 12th house behind the scenes. So this is about the unconscious. So it's like you're speaking, but it's the unconscious that is speaking. Or you're having dreams and you don't understand them. Write them down, analyze them like a true Virgo. Go deep and analyze them and look it up on the Google. Be a bit obsessed about it. Put some energy behind it, right? With Mars there as well in your 12th house. And you're going to have those epiphanies when Mercury goes direct and when it's going to aspect this Uranus and Pluto and so on, and those revealings of real truths there for you. So, but it could mean that you're a bit lost before that and that it all is a bit overwhelming. Allow that and try to meditate or try to do some yoga, try to do some alone time as well, and go with that flow. It's quite busy energy, and I don't think that during that time the sleep will be very fluent for you, but when you accept it, it's there for a reason, why it's doing that. So it's the unconscious that's going to speak to you, and through maybe music, through having a walk, and maybe travel as well, to faraway places, and reading, and writing and contemplating and being the Sherlock Holmes of your own life, and those patterns that you are repeating in your life. And you have that opportunity now to see them. And that is amazing. Scorpio is the 11th house. So that is the friends house and the house of your goals for the future. So there could be a goal that you're going to re-examine that was not so good for you, and or that was good for you, but you have to re-examine it. You have to see it in a different light. And when Mercury goes direct, you have those new goals there. For others, it will be friends. It will be Mercury retrograde. It means that you're thinking about a connection with a friend. And it could be like, again, don't be too judgmental, right? Don't be too judgmental. What they are showing you is some dark, and you know about darkness and shadow work. I mean, you're a Scorpio. I don't have to explain that to you. But work on the shadow that a friend is showing you, or some friends are showing you, and you're really going to transform your connection. So this could be for better or for worse. You know, that could mean the ending of a connection with a friend, or like a deepening of that connection. Sagittarians, it's your work. It's your work. It's the 10th house. So for most Sagittarians, there's something about work that needs to be revisited. That could be like you doing a new website, you doing a new way of profiling yourself at work, you being very critical towards the self when it comes to your work, but in a positive way, so that you want to show yourself in a new way at the workplace, right? Because when then Mercury goes direct, you can put a lot of effort there in applying yourself in a new way. But first mentally, right, when it comes to work. Now, there could be an argument at work as well. When you are working in an office and, you know, and bosses, be aware of that. You know, a boss could really trigger you. You know, it doesn't necessarily has to be a male, you know, because it's Mars. It could be a female with a lot of machista kind of energy. Oh boy. That exists as well, right? I don't know what's worse. I think the last thing, but anything. Anyway, I mean, so mind you that that boss is showing something about you as well. If you're not working, this is about how you profile yourself in the world, how you want to be seen, how you are, your energy that you exude in life, and to do that in a different way. To think about your social status. Don't forget, you know, this midheaven is a second ascendant. It's your status, your social status. You could be revisiting some stuff. Could also be parents, right? There's something about your parents, your connection with them, that you are revisiting them. Or a parent giving you a hard time, triggering you. Probably the mom, because it's the 10th house. So examine that. What is she showing you? And how you can improve you. Don't try to fix her, right? She has to fix herself. Only when she wants it, you can help her. Capricorns, this is very beautiful because it's a fellow earth sign and it's happening in your 9th house. So this could be traveling, going back to a country you already have visited. It could be going back to editing something that you've written. It could be going back to a study, or you doing some exams, which is a very good sign, by the way, you know, to have Mercury retrograde in the 9th house. You could be redoing also social platforms. Like the 9th house is I associate it also with YouTube, like, because you're reaching a lot of everything that you publish, right? Which is videos, which is writing, speaking, iPods. Is it iPods? You see how familiar I am with that. But all the things that you are expressing, you know, there is like a reassessing here, so that you're going to do that in a new way or a different way. But it's very positive because it's trining your Capricornian earth energy. So it's very constructive for you. It could be also a way of thinking, a way of communicating that you're not going to do anymore. A thing to watch out for is sharing your opinions with someone. So make sure that you don't want to, that you are, you know, as in the beginning I said, that cutting energy, like you just, because you're feeling like a wiseacre and you're cutting those, you know. I have this placement, Mercury and Mars in the 9th house, you know, in Virgo. So this is really, I know what I'm talking about here. So watch out that you're not trying to feel you have the answer, and 90% it can mean that you do have the answer, because it's Virgo after all. But it doesn't mean to say that you have to exude that energy of I know better. You know, people have to go through their own processes, and maybe you have to review some of your views, right? And then wow, when this breaks open, when Mercury goes direct in your ninth, it's like, wow, you are the teacher. You are the one that will have powerful words, right? Mercury trining Pluto then at the end of September, beginning of October. My goodness me, you've got some things to share with people, and they're going to listen, and they're going to be transformed by it because it has transformed you. But the intention here is way more positive when you're not trying to put your thoughts into the throats of other people, right? It never works that way because that's manipulative. Aquarians, and why? Because the truth doesn't need to be, defended. Okay. Aquarians, this is happening in your 8th house. Wow, this is very, very deep. This is deep. This is epiphanies, that it's deep psychological insight. I know it's a money house as well. Get to that in a minute. But I hope for a lot of you, this is a transformation of your fears, your shadows, and how to battle them, with that mask there, through the mind first and foremost. Mind above matter. It's like I'm going through my fears. I'm going through the pain, almost, you could say. And you're like dissecting this like a Virgo, right? What is so good for psychological work, good for reading books of astrology, or other occult, metaphysical, hidden knowledge, you could say, that gives that intense healing of understanding the self and of strengthening as well. It could come, though, with, first of all, some overdose of mental activity here. The monkey mind, they say, right? So it could be that, but it's through almost that, because the 8th house is a very obsessive house, but it's like it has to run its course. That obsession needs to go there. So in order for you to go through that process of revealing and of healing and going to, putting light on it and letting go of it is the whole thing. So for you, a lot of epiphanies about the self, a lot of epiphanies about the dark side of you, about your shadow, whatever it is, right? And Aquarians, their shadow is, a true Aquarian is here to innovate. A true Aquarian is here to show others other perspectives and to be tolerant. So your shadow side is when you're not that energy. In that energy, your shadow side is indeed when you claim to that you have that knowledge, and that other people are just stupid, for instance, and even if they handle like that, it's getting into that tolerant state of, people are people, and they're probably doing the best that they're doing, and I'm going to do the best that I'm doing, and I'm going to dig deep with this one. Why are people triggering me? And I'm going deep for this, and I'm going to be accountable for why I'm so judgmental, and trying to heal that. A lot of healing capacity here, for sure. Last but not least, Pisceans, this is your relationships. This is all that energy in your 7th house of relationships. So you could be dealing with a wiseacre. You could be dealing with someone who's very loud. You could be dealing with someone who said something and then kind of reassesses the things. And it can be the other way around, because you want to communicate with someone, and it's definitely about a significant relationship. Whether you are single or not, there's someone there that is triggering you. And again, also very important for you, because you're the opposite sign of Virgo. Watch the introduction if you can, and if you have some time, because it's so for you. And it's so about, again, not finding yourself in a place of feeling less than others because they are such a wiseacre, but also not feeling more than others. And so it's that wounding. It's that wounding of I'm enough, I'm good enough, whatever. And that is going to be either by a conversation, by some truths coming out here, but you will have that hunger to solve it, because the Mercury is going retrograde in your 7th house. So you will have a hunger to understand it, to go to the root of the matter, to go to the details, And again, if you're doing this with love, if you're doing this with the best intentions, but don't let anyone, this can be, in the beginning, appearing as very abusive. Someone is shouting to you and they're telling their truths and so on. When they're not going to apologize and when they said things that were not true, I mean, you have to make your conclusion here. So yes, when you're dealing with a relationship that was toxic, that was not good, this can be the breakup of a relationship for sure. But you will only know that when Mercury goes direct after the 16th of September. And it's about you not trying to fix others, which is not a really Piscean trait. I mean, a Piscean kind of let's go and let God, a true Piscean is all about that. But also don't sabotage yourself by putting yourself down, don't fall in that guilt trip either. Try to be as honest to yourself as you can. Look at your own wounding, look at what's going on there with you. And so, yeah, I think this will be some relationships that have been foggy for you, or you're not knowing where you're heading. You will know. You will know at the end of September, the beginning of October, the ones that's gonna strengthen, right? The ones that are very dear to you and that you're going to, the strengthening of the relationship, or you're saying this is not really going well. And it's the best that we kind of part, and it's the best that, but you will know that, right? You will know that. For the single ones amongst you, this could mean a new relationship, for sure. Because there's someone here that you are viewing in a different way. So it could mean that at the Mercury retrograde, you just met someone and you were reviewing them, which is a normal thing when you just meet someone. For better or for worse, you're reviewing them in a new way. Or it's someone from your past. Maybe it's a friend. Maybe it's a connection that you already had. And there's like new stuff coming up here. And yes, and I think you're going to be very open to that because you want to understand. That's Mercury in your 7th house. You want to understand others. And because of that, it's going inwards as well of understanding the self with Neptune in your 1st house. Anyway, thank you so much for listening. I wish you all the best with this Mercury retrograde and see you soon. Bye-bye.